All right, welcome into the Section YY8 podcast, Negative Niece, joined by Harb in his hoodie. He must be prepping for Ohio State or something this weekend. You got the air turned down in the house for some reason?
Yeah, we actually turned our heat off.
Ooh, why would you do
We,
that?
I want to be as ready as I can for Saturday. I'm laser focused on the Buckeyes, and it's going to be a chilly one. And I just want to be as fully prepared as I can because breaking news.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a phone call here.
Yeah, breaking news. The Section YY8 podcast will be in Columbus, Ohio.
Really?
At least represented by one, which is me. I do have a question for you,
Okay.
Mr. Neese. Will you be joining us in Columbus, Ohio?
Many are asking, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking for the masses.
So,
I'm the voice of the voiceless. I'm asking.
so I've went back and forth for a couple weeks now on this, and it's been a really hard decision. Should I go? Should I stay? There's this faction contingency of people we know and Tennessee fans that say, "Oh, Niece, you got to stay away. You're a curse. You've lost all these road games. This is a huge game. We don't need you there. Just stay at home." And then there's others like, "Oh man, you can't not go. This is a one of the biggest games in Tennessee football program in the last 20, 25 years. Like you can't not go if you get tickets." So I've lost a lot of sleep, Harbin, because I want the Vols to win, but I feel like I need to be there to support them boys. But I went back and forth, and I've made up my mind, and I don't intend to ever look back. I will be in Columbus, Ohio, on Saturday.
Well, that's great to hear. It's going to be good to have you. Um, it it is bad because your track record on the road is not good.
Pretty poor.
Admittedly, mine's not good either. Smaller sample size than yours. However, I'm going to give you and the people, the millions and millions that are listening at home currently, I'm going to give y'all hope. The last time that Niece and I went on the road,
Ooh, not good.
no, I'm not saying that. And a coworker of mine and her now husband also went, was the LSU game in 2022.
Oh,
And the similarities between that, going beyond the four of us being in the same town for a road game, is that there were a lot of Tennessee fans that went to Baton Rouge. And we haven't seen the official numbers, and I'm sure we never will because of resale tickets. But just based on the sheer number of how many people that I personally know that are going to Columbus, there's going to be a good amount of orange in that stadium. And the playoff committee slash NCAA slash Ohio State wasn't really prepared for how delusional and crazy and flat out relentless this fan base is. Because we felt like we needed a home game or deserved one for a better term. And for the most part, we felt like we got robbed of that. And we're going to take matters into our own hands and show them how we feel about it by how much orange is going to be in that stadium. The couple that I'm talking about, I believe the husband is a listener of the show. He's at least a friend of the show. He follows us on Twitter. I do know that. Alec King, his wife's name's Kayleen. I've worked with her for a long time. They were down in Baton Rouge for the takeover down there. And that is the last UT road game that I have been to that they were also at. So I'm following patterns here. I'm not worried about my record overall. I'm worried about my record when they are present, and that is 1-0. So everybody take a deep breath and exhale and just trust it.
I hope it is like that LSU game.
I would take that game right now and not even make the drive.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, I remember, we were up in the top of that upper deck almost. Like we were up there in the sky and we moved down and just looking around the stadium and we got down to the bottom that day, just how the sheer volume of Tennessee fans that were there. I was talking to some LSU people after the game that day and they were like, we just could not believe how many Tennessee fans were there. I expect something similar, like you said, just the vibe around Ohio State football right now. Their AD's having to come out and implore Ohio State fans and ticket holders not to sell their tickets to Tennessee fans. I was like,
Stop
buddy,
the count.
I think you're too late.
Stop the count.
I just honestly, and there's been some other factors that go into it. There was a code given out for pre-sale tickets through Ohio State somehow, and this fan base is so hungry right now. We've won the national championship in baseball. We've won multiple SEC basketball titles the last 5 and 6 years. But you said it last week. Football is what drives the engine or what stirs the pot here. And this is what we've been wanting for a long time is this opportunity. And Tennessee fans are so hungry to see this that they're willing to pay crazy prices to drive to a place that's going to be probably around kickoff. I'm guessing, I mean, the low right now, last I saw, is supposed to be 14 degrees. Now, I don't think it'll be 14 at kickoff. It's going to be cold up there.
The
Um,
official forecast I've seen as of today, which has changed since yesterday, the high is going to be 31 and the low is going to be 22, and we're looking at roughly 24 at kickoff with a feels like of around 16. Now that could go up 15 degrees, that could go down 15 degrees, but as of Sunday, that's what I've seen.
but I mean, this fan base is so hungry. I mean, it reminds me a little bit. I mean, it's totally different, but it kind of reminded me. I don't know if I tweeted this or texted you all the other day. You may not remember this game, Harbin, but I was a student at UT toward the end of I think this was the last year I was in school over there. But the 2008 Alabama game, there was anywhere from 30 to 40,000 Alabama fans in that stadium, and they just beat the tar out of us. Obviously, that was Philip Fulmer's final year as head coach. We were trending down, they were trending up under Nick Saban. I get that same kind of vibe. I'm not saying that we're heading in the Nick Saban direction. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I get that same vibe with this game. I mean, we're also setting ourselves up for a disaster if there's 35 or 40,000, 30 to 40,000 Tennessee fans in Ohio State and we end up losing. But I get that same vibe of there's a lot of momentum, positive momentum around this football program. Ohio State, while they're not a bad football team, they're 10-2. They're in the college football playoffs. There's a lot of bad vibes around that football program, especially around their head coach right now. And you couldn't they're kind of flatlined where Tennessee's on the ascension of the college football hierarchy. And I just feel like we're coming into this game with the better vibes around our football program, and you've got fans that sense that, and they're willing to travel all over the place. Me and my uncle were talking today, like there's all these people going to Ohio Stadium this weekend. Say we win, how many people's going to go to the Rose Bowl? I know I'm probably going to go. If we win that one, we go to the Cotton Bowl. How many people's going to go to that? This fan base, I'm going to be broke by the time this is over with, if this happens. But it it's just trending that way. And I'll say this, Harbin, and we'll move on and start talking about other stuff. But when y'all are watching the game Saturday, You might be sitting on your couch, got a warm blanket over you. It's cold outside. Maybe you got a fire going in the fireplace. You're sipping on a warm cocktail or something. I just want you all to remember. Think about Harbin. Think about Negative Niece. Think about Dr. Niece and Patrick and Dr. Burns and all the other loyal volunteers that'll be freezing their rear ends off up there in Ohio Stadium. And when it's finished, Harbin, and Ohio Stadium is in ashes, then you have my permission to die. Don't really die, but
I'll put
I watched The Dark Knight Rises the other night, by the way.
I'll put it this way. The media in Ohio State thinks that they can kill us if we lose because so many fans are going up there and crush our spirit if we lost. I have a message to Ohio State and ESPN and all those other losers. We've been dead for 15 to 17 years. What is dead may never die. You cannot kill us. It's not happening. You think one loss is going to kill us? No. Sorry.
What?
We're going to come right back next year, be in the same position, and act like nothing ever happened, and just be even crazier. Because these are the moments that you really live for as a fan. You know, you grow up in East Tennessee and you watch UT your whole life, and everybody that's listening to this is of different ages. I'm gonna speak for my age. When we were very little, we were still good, and we heard all this allure of national championship. I was 6 months old or 7 months old, whatever it was, when we won the national championship, and we heard all these great things. And we watched them very young, probably too young to comprehend of us still being good. And then you watch the 2007 championship game, SEC championship game. That was the first introduction to heartbreak. One of the first UT games that I went to that I remember was 2008 Wyoming.
Ooh, that was there.
Homecoming. I didn't get to go to a ton of UT games growing up. I got tickets when people were giving them away, essentially. You know, like, oh, hey, here's a 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old that wants to go to a game that doesn't get to go to a ton. Here, have tickets to Wyoming. You get beat on homecoming. Then you see Lane Kiffin year. He leaves in the middle of the night. Then you get Derek Dooley. Then you get Butch Jones. And you get a little bit of a high with Butch Jones, and then it flatlines. And then it goes down. Then you get Jeremy Pruitt. That whole debacle goes without saying. And within all of that, with people roughly my age, you go through middle school, high school, college, early adult life, with your Saturdays being filled with pretty much pain and suffering. And then in comes Josh Heupel, which at the time, just with battered Vols syndrome, I was mad about it because I thought Danny White hired him as a buddy hire. Hand up. That's the happiest I've ever been to been wrong. I think Heupel's done a great job. And what a lot of people don't really get, which a lot of the people will get it that listen to this, but some people may not think this way, is this game means more than just this season. For a lot of people that are mid to late 20s and younger, this is like the first time of like legit being grown that we're semi back. And if we win this game, we are back. So The media can act like Ohio State is better than us. That's fine. They can act like they have more talent than us. That's fine. But there is literally not a hungrier fan base and program, in my opinion, in the country. We're so ready to be back, and the opportunity is staring us dead in the face. And I think if you go to the game, you're going to see it because you're going to see a lot of your close friends and fairly close neighbors there. And you're also going to see it on TV with how much orange is there. And we can act like, oh, we made the playoff. It's a good year. I agree with you on that because this is one of the better seasons of my cognitive lifetime for UT. This game's a big damn deal for us. And to circle back, what has dead may never die? We've been dead. I've been dead my whole lifetime with UT. We're coming. And they're going to feel us. No Diddy.
The fire rises.
Like a phoenix, we rise from the ashes.
So let's roll in. We kind of went back and forth when we were discussing how to lay out the podcast tonight. So we're going to talk basketball here in a second. So we'll just roll into football. Tennessee's at Ohio State. Duh. Obviously, what we're talking about. So, 8 o'clock Saturday night, ESPN. Game day will be there. It is confirmed. They're going to Notre Dame Friday night for that game, and then Columbus, Ohio for Tennessee, Ohio State Saturday. So it's the game of the weekend, in my opinion, or at least leading into it, it's the game of the weekend. But um, winner moves on. Harbin. This is winner go home, loser leave town match, and Tennessee's not really been, like we've talked about just previously. They've not been on the national stage in quite some time, except the past 2 or 3 years. I think thinking back on everything, this is probably the biggest game in Tennessee football in probably at least the last 20 years. I don't want to say the last 25 because that gets you into national championship game territory, but we've played an SEC championship game since then 3 times. I mean, I would say the last like really big, meaningful game that had something on the line besides one of the two Alabama games. I mean, the Orange Bowl obviously was a big game a couple years ago against Clemson. But if you won, great. That's awesome. If you lost, I mean, you didn't lose anything except the game. This, if you lose, you obviously go home. If you win, you continue on, and you're one of 8 teams left playing for a national championship. And I think it's such a big deal for this program right now. Um, I know we should act like we've been there because this program has been there. But it's been a long time, so it's kind of hard to not hype it up like I'm doing. But these two teams, Harbin's got some stats he's going to list, and if I can find the graphic that I did, I'm losing my mind here. But um, just the comparing the teams offensively, defensively, they're about the same. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they're pretty even. I mean, there's some categories where they are different a little bit, but overall, these two teams are pretty equal. I think seeding wise, it's probably the right matchup. I know we've gone back and forth on who should be seeded where, and Tennessee may have been underseeded, but I think from a pure matchup standpoint, this is probably a pretty even matchup to me. Tennessee's better in some areas than Ohio State, and Ohio State's better than Tennessee in some areas. We'll see who can exploit what strengths, but I'm just going to say because we'll get into the numbers here with Harbin, but I'm really excited about this game. I know it's going to be cold, but I just really, and I've not had good vibes about games like this in the past, but there's just, I don't know. I don't know. There's something telling me that I think Tennessee goes up there and wins this game, Harbin, but we'll get our official picks in here in a second. But Why don't you give us, why don't you check the stats for us here? How does Tennessee and Ohio State match up against each other?
All right, so Ohio State's averaging 36.5 points per game. It's good enough for 18th in the nation. And they're giving up 10.9 points per game, which is leading Division I college football at the FBS level. Their passing attack is 260 yards a game. It's 42nd in the country. And they're running for 170 yards, which is 59th in the country. On the other hand, Tennessee's averaging 37.2 points per game, which is slightly surprising. I think those numbers are semi-inflated from perhaps Kent State and what was the other one?
UTC.
Yeah, thank you. Defensive yards per game for UT is 278, which is fourth in the country. We also rank eighth in total rushing defense, and we rank ninth in rushing yards per game on offense. Second in the Power Four, only behind UCF. So for playoff teams, we rank second. Or maybe first. I don't know if we average more than Boise State or not. I didn't go too in depth. I did this in about 6 minutes, so be patient here. The biggest thing to look at, in my opinion, is if Ohio State can run the ball against us. Because the biggest storyline for me is our front seven versus their offensive line. If Ohio State has success running the football, they're probably going to win this game. They have two running backs that are great. You have Judkins. I wouldn't even say it's a RB1 versus RB2. I just think they have two running backs. Judkins has 805 yards on the year, 5.5 yards carry, 8 touchdowns. And Henderson has 751 yards on 7 yards of carry for 6 touchdowns. Both of those are very good guys. But Tennessee's run defense and front seven is top 10 in the country. It's kind of what we've shouldered the load on for this season. If they can get the ground game going early, it's going to be a problem for us. Because Will Howard has had his struggles in big spots, especially the Michigan game. That's what's fresh on everyone's mind. But the dude's not bad. He's got just under 2,900 yards for the season. He's averaging 240 yards a game, call it. 72.5% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And he's also only been sacked 10 times in 12 games. That's another thing to look at. If we can get some pressure on him, I trust our DBs, especially Jamal McCoy and Will Brooks, White Boy of the Year candidate.
Trill
Brooks, thank you. If we can get some pressure on him, he's going to mess up. PG version of what I wanted to say. But they have some dudes at receiver. And that's really the matchup that I'm looking forward to while Tennessee's not on offense. They have 3 guys that have led them in receiving. First one, Smith, 57 receptions, 934 yards, 10 touchdowns. Then we have, correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation of this. Is it Egbuka?
I don't know.
We're going to go with Egbuka.
Sure.
60 receptions, 743 yards, 9 touchdowns. And the third guy on this list is a name that y'all are probably familiar with. It's a young man by the name of Carnell Tate.
Hmm.
Hmm. Matchup to look at. Is he a freshman this year?
It's either freshman or sophomore. I can't remember.
Either way, 41 receptions, 583 yards, 4 touchdowns. They are going to draw up a play or two for him to make a big play. Just keep an eye on him, just for the storyline. But on offense, Tennessee averages 232 yards on the ground a game, which we already covered. That is going to be the focal point of this game. Obviously, Nico's going to have to make a couple throws. He's been trending upwards in the later half of the season. But if Dylan Sampson and the boys don't get it going early, I don't want to say this because I'm making the trek and I'm going to be freezing my ass off watching this. It could be a long day if we don't have success on the ground.
Right.
If we have to rely on a freshman quarterback in 15-degree weather to throw us to victory, I'm not entirely confident. So we said this last week. We say this all the time. It's a cliche, but it's 100% true. We're 100% going to have to run the ball and stop the run to win this ball game.
Oh yeah.
Now, obviously, a break or two is going to have to go your way. Don't get me wrong, but if you do those two things, odds are you win the football game. And I definitely think we're good enough to do these two things. Like we said, Ohio State doesn't really rely on the run game as much as we do. 59th in the country. Our run defense is top 10. Stuff the run, make Will Howard beat you. If he beats you, he beats you. But if you stop them from doing that, and you run the ball efficiently and open up play action and get some easy throws for Nico early on, I really like the spot we're in. I really do. So, I don't know.
I do too. I mean, I just think that you went through all those, and I don't want to, belabor the point here, but I honestly think, I mean, Tennessee matches up pretty well with this team. I'm Ohio State's a very good football team, but they've got their flaws. I think a big one for me, a stat I was looking up earlier was third down. I think third down obviously is big in any game, but if Tennessee can keep Ohio State off the field, like you said, can Tennessee run the ball? They need to run the ball successfully. That's kind of our bread and butter. And we don't need to rely on Nico to drop back and throw the ball 25, 30 times. He does not need to throw the ball 30 times. Yes.
Ohio State's rushing defense is just ahead of Tennessee's at 7th in the country. Tennessee's
Yeah.
is at 8th, by the way.
Yeah.
Just
They're
wanted
they're
to throw that.
both these teams are very good at stopping the run. Tennessee's pretty good at defending the pass. Ohio State's a little behind them, like you said, and uh, you know, passing the football. Tennessee is, I think, last I checked, or I don't know what you said, it was there. I think they were like number 62, and Ohio State was in the low to mid 40s passing the football. So both teams are kind of mid, as the kids would say, passing the football, but they're pretty good defending it. Tennessee's better defending the pass than Ohio State. Both teams are top 10 defending the run. And so that's, which team can run the football and which team. Tennessee's got the advantage, I think, up front. Ohio State's had some offensive line issues due to injury and guys moving around. I'm assuming Tennessee's healthy. I've not seen any reports stating otherwise. But I think Tennessee has an opportunity to exploit Ohio State up front on the offensive line. So can they stop the run and can they put pressure on the quarterback for Ohio State, whose name is escaping me at this time. But my key too, I mean, you look both teams like Tennessee. I'm looking here on third down. Tennessee this year converts 48% of the time, pretty good. Ohio State, and that ranks Tennessee at number 14. Ohio State converts 42% of the time. Tennessee, on the other hand, stopping teams on third down, they get teams off they only allow third down conversions 29% of the time. Ohio State allows it 33% of the time. Both teams are pretty good at getting teams off the field on third down. Tennessee's a tick better than Ohio State of staying on the field on third down. Um, so I think the key to this thing is Tennessee needs to obviously rush the football. And I'm not saying they have to go out there and rush for 300 yards, but they need to establish the run and not rely on Nico or have to rely on a freshman quarterback on the road. And you could say he's not a freshman anymore. He's played a lot of football by this point, but
He's a freshman.
he's a freshman. And a lot of these guys too, not just him. I mean, a lot of these guys are going, this is the first time they've been through this, going on a playoff game. Yes, everybody's going through this for the first time. There's never been a college football playoff where they play home games. But Ohio State's been in the playoffs, I think, like 8 out of the last 12 years. So they've at least been in the playoffs. So that program has playoff experience. So their staff, their players, they've been trained and prepped for this. Where Tennessee is like, all this is brand new to Tennessee. I just hope we don't go up there with saucer eyes. I just hope we go up there focused, laser focused, like Harb and I will be Saturday, and play our brand of football and leave it all out there. But I think, rush the football, defend the run, make Ohio State throw it, um, because they're not all that great throwing the football. I mean, neither are we when you look statistically at us, but we have gotten better as the year has gone along. But my area to watch is up front. Can Tennessee's front four and possibly front seven cause a little chaos and wreak a little havoc on Ohio State's front six or seven there? Because I think that's where Tennessee can exploit some stuff, and make Ohio State quarterback throw the football and beat you through the air. And Tennessee's pretty good at defending through the air, better than Ohio State. But um, I don't know, Harv. I just got a really good feeling about this. Let's wait and pick the game at the end of the show, if you don't care. But we'll pick all the playoff games quickly. But um, I think you're like me. I don't want to go up there and just say, "Oh yeah, we're going to win," but I feel pretty good about this thing.
I mean, I'm not making the trek to go up there and lose.
Absolutely not. JWTDG, Harbin.
Yeah, that's all this has ever been about.
Well, if you're making the trip, please contact either myself or Harb. I've already heard from several of our listeners that will be there. We're trying to work out some details on where we'll be at pregame, whether we're outside or whether we're inside. Harbin, I will say it's been kind of cold here. That might blow an Ohio State fan's mind. It's been a little cold here, but I've been standing outside in the cold with just a t-shirt on, preparing myself. The team's practicing. I'm practicing. I've been standing outside with chocolate milk, and I've been preparing myself for the cold weather.
The funniest thing about this whole ordeal between Big Ten and SEC teams or fan bases has been the Big Ten fans think that it just doesn't get cold outside of Big Ten country. I mean, we only got a foot of snow last year
Yeah.
at one time. We've definitely never seen -5-degree weather before.
Oh no, it never gets cold here, does it?
Yeah, no, it's always the lowest it gets is about 45, and we have to put on our Carhartts and parkas. You know, so
I can tell you, it was cold here last winter. Oh, it was cold.
but it never gets cold in the SEC because every Big Ten fan thinks that every single SEC school is located in South Florida,
True. Yeah,
which,
they think it's like sunny and 75 everywhere.
yeah, no.
And they've been talking about that. The media has been talking about that for a while now. They've been, oh, these SEC teams are going to have to go up north. They guess Ole Miss is going to have to go to Penn State, and Tennessee might have to go to Ohio State or Notre Dame. And ooh, like, give me a break. Seriously,
Okay.
they act like we're going to the dang North Pole to play.
It snowed at practice 5 days
Yes.
ago.
And that was awesome. Gilbert and his crew were out there. The kicker was out there in the snow, and it's like, what God, what better? Like, if I was Josh Heupel, I'd have had him out there Monday night practicing. I don't know when. I'm sure they practiced in the morning, but um, yeah, it's going to be cold, but I think we'll be fine. There is a thing sometimes when it's early season games, and some of these teams out west or up north come down here. And yes, it's hot up there and it's hot out west, but the humidity, they're not prepared for that. But we got both here. I mean, it is scorching hot here in the summer, but in the winter, I mean, yeah, sometimes it's in the 40s and 50s, but sometimes we get some 20s and 30s here. And
Lower than that.
yeah, yeah, it ain't gonna, I don't think it's gonna bother me
The funniest thing is nobody acts like we play in Lexington every other year in November.
very
And
quickly.
Lexington is what, less than 2 hours from Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, we went to the 2003 Tennessee Kentucky game. It was in the low 20s, and that was a noon game. I remember that game was super cold, but yeah, that was a cold one that day. Before we go any further, you may have noticed the logo in the corner, but want to give a shout out to our sponsor, one of our partners, friends, and listeners of the show, Andrew's Physical Therapy. Harbin, you've been to Andrew's Physical Therapy. I've been there. A lot of people we know have been there. Great facility, great staff. Mike Andrews, Adam Osment, and those guys. They got my ACL about, golly, that was 12 years ago now. I tore my ACL playing basketball, and they got me back out on the court within about 8 months. I was back out playing golf within 4 months, and um, got some new facilities. One in Blaine, beautiful Blaine, Tennessee. If you ever want to go see a beautiful part of the country, go to Blaine. Drive up 11W. Don't speed. You'll get pulled over. But
And don't move there.
man, don't move there. But just go visit. But you can go visit them. They've got an office there in Blaine, Tennessee. They've also got one here in Strawberry Plains. So look them up online, p4physicaltherapy.com, and it's got links to get in touch with them, or just Google Andrews Physical Therapy. But appreciate those guys for partnering up with us and helping us out here on the show. I know they got you back moving in the right direction, Harbin.
Absolutely. I had some knee trouble a few years back, and Adam, that now runs E4 in Blaine, he majorly helped me throughout my process. Never been better, to be honest with you. I'm a physical specimen. If y'all haven't ever seen me move around, definitely been better since after that, and that's all the credit to Adam and Mike at those locations. But I invite y'all to go to Facebook, to the E4 website or the Facebook page. They helped out a very special person. I'm sure you saw it, Niece. During the most hectic time of the year, they got Santa. They got Santa up and right.
Really? I hadn't seen this. They got Santa
Absolutely.
back going?
Absolutely. Santa was having some trouble with how busy and uh, stressful this time of year has been. It took a toll on his body, and had a couple sessions over in Blaine, and he was ready to roll, and he's going to be just fine getting them presents out to all the kids.
Man.
Yeah.
So 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 Osmond got old Saint Nick back rolling again.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy works wonders. If you don't believe it, just ask Santa when he stops by for some milk and cookies on Christmas Eve.
Well, I mean, if they can get Santa back going, they can definitely get you all going again. So, if you've got any kind of physical therapy needs, look those guys up. They'll take care of you. They're good at what they do, and they also have they make the atmosphere is very light there. Let's just say that. I don't know what kind of stories Adam Osment tells at his branch, but I know uh, if you go see Mr. Andrews, he will tell you all kinds of sports stories and jokes, and yeah, they're good people. Appreciate them helping us out, but they will get you back in line if you're hurting or you need to recover from a surgery. Go check them out. P4physicaltherapy.com or Google Andrews Physical Therapy. All right, Harbin. So let's keep this thing rolling here. Tennessee basketball had a couple games this week. One was pretty intense, but let's start with the first one. Tennessee beat the Hurricanes of Miami, which are they're on the struggle bus right now. They're now I don't know if they played this weekend, but after Tennessee dispatched them on Tuesday night, they fell to 3-7 overall. But Tennessee took them down in Madison Square Garden in the Jimmy V Classic. So I won't say it was Tennessee's best performance of the year up there in the Garden. I don't know if you got to watch it, but that game was never in doubt. I know at one point Tennessee got up, I think 18, and it's almost like they kind of got bored a little bit, it seemed to me, and it got down to 8, but then they quickly pushed it back up and ended up winning by double digits. So nice win there. But the big one was on Saturday in Champaign, Illinois, against the Fighting Illini. And if you're listening, Josh Walker, yes, they were unranked. I encourage everybody out there. Harbin said piss on your analytics last year. Stop looking at voting polls when you say, oh, Tennessee almost lost an unranked team. Illinois is a good basketball team. Look at the analytics, and it'll tell you that they're a good basketball team.
There are not 25 basketball teams in the country better than Illinois.
I don't put any faith in these polls because human beings are voting in them, and human beings have agendas, and sometimes human beings aren't very smart. At least they're not as smart as you and I are, Harbin. And I get sick and tired of people saying, well, that team's unranked. That team's unranked. This team's ranked here. You know what? Tennessee, I don't know if they're the number one team in the country right now. They got there by attrition a little bit because Kansas lost 2 in a row and Auburn lost and Tennessee was sitting there undefeated. Tennessee, to me, and I've been putting off saying this, but they're in Final Four national title contender after seeing that yesterday, in my opinion. That was all I needed to see. I'm in. This team can compete nationally. They can go and win it all. They could also maybe get beat in the second round. College basketball is crazy with the depth of talent across the board. But that team they played yesterday is going to be in the NCAA tournament. Um, I could see that team going to the second weekend, possibly. They're a good basketball team. I know they're not ranked. Analytics say they're a good basketball team, but Jordan Gainey yesterday, like that dude, I said it a couple weeks ago when we played Syracuse. We left that game. I was like, that kid looks different. Not only, I mean, he looks like he's bulked up in the offseason, but he looks like a totally different basketball player. He's more aggressive on the offensive end. He's making shots at a higher clip. He's a huge difference maker on this basketball team right now. And yesterday, Tennessee does not win that game without him. Um, that was a huge gut check win yesterday, Harbin, for Tennessee basketball. Yeah, Lanier, Tennessee's arguably their best player, was in foul trouble most of the second half. Zakai Ziegler, heart and soul of the team, in foul trouble most of the second half. When he got back in, he was right back out because he couldn't stay out of foul trouble. Not his best effort, but I text some of the guys there at one point in the second half. We were hanging right with Illinois, and we had Jemai Mashack. No offense to any of these guys, but check this lineup out: Mashack, Gainey, Milicic Jr., Dubar. I'm missing somebody.
Cade Phillips.
Boswell. Kate Phillips
Boswell.
wasn't out there at this point.
I was guessing.
Boswell, the freshman. I was like, who? I was watching the game here in my living room, and I was talking to myself. I was like, who's going to score here? And it was Gainey, and Gainey makes the game-winning layup. Tennessee was up two, or sorry, up one. Illinois, we fouled Illinois, right or wrong. Crooked Big Ten officials called it, and they hit one out of two, and we went down without a timeout. Gainey hit the game winner, coast to coast. Um, Good programs find a way to win games like that. Tennessee was not at their best yesterday, but one thing that I didn't pay attention to this until I went back and looked. Second half, zero turnovers from the Volunteers.
Wow.
And that was without Zakai Ziegler on the court for probably, I think he only played like 2 or 3 minutes in the second half, if that. So, huge win for Tennessee. Will they win the SEC? I don't know. But are they one of the best teams in the conference? Yes. Are they one of the top five teams in the nation? I believe so, yes. You have the floor.
So I got a couple things. The first thing is to people that think Illinois is not a great basketball team. I'm not saying they're great. They're a very good team. And if you don't know anything about Champaign, Illinois, that place gets live for college basketball. But on the season, Illinois' first loss, was to Alabama on a neutral court, and that game was played in. Where's Legacy Arena? Oh, that game was played in Birmingham. So let's call that a road game.
The old Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center.
They lost to Alabama 100-87. Illinois was ranked 25 at the time. They fall out of the top 25 for losing that game. Then they go to the Thanksgiving Hoops Showcase that was played in the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri. And they beat Arkansas, who is a good basketball team, 90-77. Their second loss of the season came at Northwestern, who is not bad in their own right, is also a conference game, 70-66 in overtime. They bounced back from that game 4 days later and beat number 20 Wisconsin 86-60. And then 4 days later, the Vols come to town and give us an absolute dogfight. For the non-college basketball sickos out there, Brad Underwood is a good basketball coach. He has had that program in a good spot for a while. They're always perennially going to be ranked or around being ranked. They're a tournament team year in, year out. Barring anything crazy, come March, April, when the seeding shows come out, this is going to be a quad one win.
Oh, yeah, easy.
For sure. That brings me to my second point. A lot of seasons in the past, Tennessee loses this game. Let me pull up the stats real quick. Tennessee shot 6 of 24 from 3, 25%. 20 of 62 from the floor, 32%. Shot 71% from the free throw line. Give you that. Good teams find a way to win. I'm echoing off what you said. Your leader and Zakai Ziegler gets in foul trouble. Only gets 25 minutes. He's normally a 36 to 40 minute guy. Lanier only played 26 minutes, shot 5 for 17 from the field. He ended up with 17 points because he knocked down his free throws. But obviously the MVP of the game is Jordan Gainey. Because when things weren't happening, he made something happen. And there was a couple times where he had missed a couple in a row and he jacked up what some would call bad shots. But that's what this program has missed for a very long time. Obviously, we had that last year in Dalton Connect. But we've got a few guys this year that have that big of confidence. And Gainey did that last year, and Gainey caught a lot of flack for that. But I think he has grown immensely in his game over the course of the off season. We're we're extremely deep on this team. I didn't even mention the fact that Akpara only played 9 minutes due to foul trouble. We only had 3 fouls. Maybe I was at work. You watched the game more than I did. Either way, he started the game and only played 9 minutes. Did he get hurt during the game?
Who is this?
Akpara.
He was in foul trouble.
He finished the game with 3 fouls.
Thought he had 4.
ESPN has him at 3. Either way, didn't score, 3 rebounds. Igor Milicic did not. He went 0 for 8 from 3, 2 for 13 from the field, but guess what? 14 rebounds. That's a glue guy. That is a definite. Like his nickname is going to be Elmer for me. Elmer Milicic, because that guy's a glue guy. He can give you 15 to 18 any given night. And if the shots ain't falling, he's going to get you 14 rebounds. And he's going to play some damn good defense. That's glue.
Yeah. He struggled his past 2 games shooting the basketball. I mean, he was 2 of 13 from the field yesterday against Illinois, 0 of 8 from 3. But like you said, 14 rebounds, a huge steal later in the game on an inbound. Illinois called
Yes.
timeout, set up an
Yes.
inbounds play on the side, and
I
he just
tied it
took it.
up.
Yeah, he took it from him, went down the court and dunked it, and tied the ball
Yes.
game. Um,
If you look at the box score, nobody shot it well. Uh,
no,
Hello, Darlin Stone, Conway Twitty, shout out. 2 for 3, a huge 3 in the later part of the second half to, I believe, cut it to 2. I said this either the last episode or the episode before. When he gets his feet under him and a little bit more trust from the coaching staff, he is going to be a huge part of this team. I mean, we played 9 games tonight. I mean, we played 9 guys tonight.
hmm
Jordan Gainey, obviously the big one. He played 34 minutes off the bench. That was in large part due to Ziegler and Chaz Lanier being in foul trouble. But you've got to have guys like that when shit goes sideways can step up and be the guy. And without Jordan Gainey, we lose that game, and honestly, we may lose by double digits. You know, like every time it looked like Illinois was going to make a run and push a 5-point lead to 8 or 9, here comes Jordan Gainey, hit a random 3 or get it to the hole. Looking at the box score, like there's no way we should have won this game, especially when you equate fouls into this. Let me see. Well, the foul counter was 24 to 21, but I think they got evened out
in the second half, yes.
in the second half. Yeah, I do remember randomly looking at the TV at work, and there was 8 or 9 minutes left in the game. And Illinois was in the double bonus, and Illinois only had 2 fouls for the entire second half.
Yeah.
I'm not making that argument. A lot of other people can make that argument. That's just called playing on the road in college basketball. It is what it is. And we're a physical basketball team. There was some calls down the stretch that looked iffy, but if they're iffy and you're on the road, they shouldn't go your way. That's just the way I look at it. Here's a weird one. Both teams only had 6 assists apiece.
Really?
Yeah, there was 35 total made field goals and only 12 assists.
Interesting. I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Tennessee had 7 steals. Honestly, that was probably the difference. The turnover margin was 11 to 6. Tennessee had 4 blocks to Illinois' 1. Fast break points was 4 to 5. It was a grinded out game. And I need to make myself clear on this. The fact that Tennessee grinded that game out, which we were only a point and a half favorite. So that tells you everything you need to know. Number one team on the road, cross conference, hostile environment. We knew it was going to be a dogfight, and we were going to get everything Illinois had. And that's what comes with being 10-0 for the first time in 25 years and being the number one team in the country for the third time in 25 years, or third time in program history, I guess. You're going to have a target on your back everywhere you play, especially on the road.
Yep.
Every road game you play, you're going to get the crowd's best, the coaching staff's best, and your opponent's best. And with all of those factors, we shot it like shit from 2 and from 3, got in foul trouble, especially with 2 of our best 4 players, and we still found a way to grind out a victory. And that gives me a ton of hope going into these last 2/3 of the season. Because coming up, Tennessee has I don't want to look over anyone, but we have a pretty relaxed home stretch between now and New Year's before conference play starts. We have Western Carolina, MTSU, and Norfolk State. More than likely, if things go our way, we're 13-0 going into conference play, which is absolutely huge because SEC play this year is going to be an absolute gauntlet.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that later. But just a little preview for SEC play. Our very first conference game of the year, we have John Calipari and Jonas Adu coming back to Thompson Bowling Arena on January 4th. And Arkansas is a pretty damn good basketball team. And then 3 days later, right after that, we turn around and go to Gainesville to the other 10-0 team in the country and play the number 9, as of right now, ranked Florida Gators. And your reward for participating in that is 4 days later going to Austin, Texas, and playing the now 9-2 Texas Longhorns. And then 4 days later, you get what you could call a break, and you get the now 9-1 record Georgia Bulldogs, who are a very good basketball team coming to town. There's no, and I say all these things to say, there's no breaks
Mm.
in conference play in SEC this year. Vandy's 9-1. Mississippi State's 9-1. They're currently ranked. After that, you get Auburn, arguably the best 2 teams in the country. Right after that, you play Kentucky. Currently ranked top 5. They're definitely a top 10 team in the country. You get Florida again. Missouri, who's 9-1. Oklahoma, undefeated, 13th team in the country. Kentucky again. Vanderbilt again. Go to Texas A&M. They're 17th. They're 9-2. You play LSU. They've only lost twice. They're not ranked, but it's at LSU. Oh, and then, I'm sorry, I didn't mention Alabama, who's also ranked number 7 in the country. Ole Miss 9-1, who's currently 19, and South Carolina, who's arguably the bottom feeder of the SEC, and they're 7-3. Conference play is gonna be a war of attrition.
Um, uh, Joey Brackets. Joe Lenardi was on SEC Now this morning. I think he's been on a couple other shows. He's predicting 12 teams at least getting in the NCAA tournament from the SEC, and his first team out is Missouri. So
That's insane.
possibly 13 teams getting in the SEC. We talked about it a couple weeks ago,
That's
and
crazy.
and we'll talk more basketball as we get it, on into the winter months. But you might see the SEC champ this year with 6 or 7 losses. I mean, don't be down and upset if Tennessee goes and loses 6, 7 conference games. Um, I think my vision and goal for this team would, hey, win your home games. Maybe split on the road and see what happens from there. But we say all that to say, don't get too up or down during conference play because it's the losses that Tennessee may or will have during conference season aren't going to hurt them like they usually would. If Tennessee goes on the road, like where's there a bad loss at? Maybe, I mean, LSU's not bad. They're not great, but I don't know if we even play. I'm just saying that as an example. Like go on the road and lose at LSU or Vandy, but they're still not bad losses. They're not going to, like, if Tennessee was number one and they lose that game, they're not going to plummet. Stupid voting polls, they might drop to 10. But in the analytic polls, the net rankings, the Ken Palms, the old RPI, whatever you look at, they're probably not going to move unless they lose several in a row for some reason and don't play well. But you could play pretty well and lose some top basketball games. Tennessee might, start conference play 13-0 and end up like 24, 20, let's say 22-7, maybe something like that. I'm doing math in my head, which I'm not great at, but you know, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to hurt them all that much losing games in conference this year because everybody's so highly rated and analytics thinks so highly of most SEC teams. But we'll get into that more as we move along, as we get closer to SEC basketball season. It starts after the first of the year, but as this team, like we said with football, I've got a good feeling about this team, and I saw all I needed to see yesterday. They had to gut out a win. They didn't shoot the ball well. They didn't play great. They didn't play smart at times, but they never hung their heads. They kept going, and they found a way to win in a very tough place to play on the road at a pretty good basketball school. So, kudos to them, and I'm excited about watching this team going forward. I think they can make another deep run in the NCAA tournament. Whether they win the SEC or not, I don't know. Dude, it's going to be tough. You got Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas, or Tennessee and Kentucky are probably the top four teams. But right after that, I mean, you had A&M yesterday beat Purdue. You've got the SEC had 14 games yesterday. They went 13-1. The only loss was LSU playing SMU at the Mavericks Arena. I don't know what SMU's like, but they lost by like 8 or 9. But that was the only loss yesterday. The SEC went 13-1 non-conference yesterday. That's crazy.
And the SEC went 14-2 in the SEC ACC challenge.
Yes.
And the only losses were to Duke, who is a top probably 7 team in the country, and Clemson, who is 4-0 against the last 4 AP top 5 opponents.
Crazy.
So,
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I've said this on here a bunch. Basketball is my favorite sport. I just love it, and I think Tennessee's got a real chance to make some noise this season, and I think they are a player on the national stage. I just honestly do, and we'll see how it plays out. They may flame out. I don't think they will. This program under Rick Barnes, they're in a place right now where their mentality, they're like we talked about in football a couple weeks ago. Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, those guys know how to win. And they get in tough situations. They just keep playing. And Tennessee basketball to me is in that same spot. They have a really tough, hard-nosed mentality. They don't let noise and outside stuff affect them. And this program is one of the best ones in the country right now. Yesterday proved it. There's a lot of teams that mentally would be a lot weaker than that would have lost that game yesterday. But we'll keep you posted, Tennessee basketball, as we go along. Harbin, let's look at the college football playoffs as we move along here and try to wrap this show up in a timely manner.
are we doing picks versus the spread?
Well, you might have to help me look that up because I'm not sure I have that info right here in front of me.
I can easily do that.
If you can do that, I'll list the game. And if you will tell me the line, we'll go from there. So let's start with Friday, first game of the playoffs. Playoffs will
Playoffs.
be the Indiana Hoosiers traveling to South Bend, Indiana to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What are we looking at there, Harbin?
Notre Dame is favored by 7.5.
I'm taking Notre Dame.
I don't want to make this my lock of the weekend, but I love Indiana. I think Indiana beats Notre Dame.
Yeah, you said that last week. You might be right. Maybe they do. Chaos.
Their coach is an absolute madman, and I think they're just better than people give them credit for. And they didn't lose to Northern Illinois, so I'm taking Indiana plus 7.5.
Right. I've got the Fighting Irish. You've got the Hoosiers advancing to play the Bulldogs of Georgia in the USF&G Sugar Bowl. I know it's not called that anymore, but I like to live in the past. All right, Saturday. I don't know the order of these games, but I think Texas and Clemson are at noon. Is that correct, Harbin?
Texas and Clemson is at 4.
Four. So we got Penn State and SMU are at noon kicking off.
Correct.
What do we have there from Happy Valley?
Penn State is an 8.5 point favorite over SMU Mustangs.
Interesting.
I'll
Eight
go
and a half.
first on this one. I don't love this. I like Penn State.
Yeah, I think Penn State is better than SMU. Obviously, I think they're better, but I think, uh,
SMU's scrappy.
yeah, I think it won't be like Penn State comes out and just blows them away. I think one of those things where they kind of pull away in the third quarter, fourth quarter type thing, and just kind of push them around a little bit. I think SMU is a good football team. I'm just not sure they're ready for this yet. So give me the Nittany Lions.
All right, now 4 o'clock, Austin, Texas. The Longhorns hosting the Clemson Tigers. It's an interesting matchup. However, the spread is 11.5. It is pretty much by far the biggest spread in the first round. Longhorns given 11.5 to the Tigers. What's your thoughts?
I think Texas wins this game, but I'm going to take Clemson to cover. Again, Clemson, one of those programs like I just mentioned with Tennessee basketball. They've been in the playoffs a lot of times the last decade. They've won national championships. These guys are bred for this, and solid program there at Clemson. I don't think they'll win this game, but like I said, I think they cover. What
I
do you got?
also like Clemson to cover. Do not, this is not my prediction. Do not be shocked if Clemson and Dabo Swinney win this ball game.
Oh, I won't be.
Well, I'm not just telling you. I'm telling the people that are actually
Oh,
listening to this
oh
show.
yeah, yeah. Don't be shocked, people.
You have to listen to me. Everyone else is choosing to listen.
Choosing, true.
So thank you
We
to
should
y'all.
make people listen to you, Harbin,
I'm not making anybody listen to
but
me.
I think we should
Uh,
force feed people your voice.
Anywho, in my opinion, Clemson is the second best football team Texas has played all year. I think Clemson's better than Texas A&M. I think they're obviously better than Vandy and Arkansas. That's the three. That's the three best teams Texas has played outside of Georgia. I do think Texas wins, but it's a tight one. There's, I'm not going to say controversy, but there's definitely going to be some holding of the breath. Clemson covers.
I agree. And then Tennessee at Ohio State. Main event, 8 p.m. ESPN. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, game day crew. It's going to be super cold. Think is the line moved any? It was at what 7.5 in favor of the Buckeyes. Harbin, what's it at right now?
According to ESPN Bet, it is 7 flat Buckeyes,
It's not moved at all this week.
which is the smallest margin of the first round games. You have
Wow, that is true. Yes.
you have the floor.
I talked a lot earlier about being confident that Tennessee was going to win. Also, you have to keep in mind that Tennessee has not been very good on the road at night in big games under Josh Heupel. It's just a fact. I guess this would fall in that category, Harbin. It's a big game and it's at night and it's on the road. Um, God, I really want to pick Tennessee. I really do. And I'm going up there to win. Don't get me wrong. I think Tennessee covers, but I think Ohio State wins. I'm like you. You said it last week. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I don't know if you've changed your mind. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. That being said, I do have a good feeling about this game. I'm just not picking Tennessee to win from I guess from a analytical standpoint. But
I know why.
I promise you, I'm going up there to win. I'm
I
gonna lay
know
it
why
all on
you
the
picked.
line,
I
Harbin.
know why you picked Ohio State.
Why's that?
It's because Austin Hayes is going to be in attendance.
Austin Hayes will be there.
Breaking news.
Unbelievable.
Austin Hayes, I guess we'll call him a friend of the show,
Yeah, he listens every now and then, I think.
is going to be in Columbus, Ohio, along with some other Straw Plains legends. Put it that way.
A lot of
As
Straw Plains.
as of our day of recording, they bought tickets. So
Wow. Who's they? Who's going with him?
I believe it's his brother Alex, Isaiah Keck, and Nick Bain.
Buckeye Bane's going?
Buckeye Bain.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe that a car leaving from Strawberry Plains is going to be taking a damn Ohio State fan.
Will he come back?
All I'm going to say is if we win, it's going to be hard for him to show his face in Strawberry Plains for a while. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say too much. Just obviously if the game goes the other way. Bane, I love you. I know you listen to the show.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
So you're taking Tennessee to cover, Buckeyes to win.
Yes. That is correct. What are you doing?
Well, right now, I'm thinking about how weak and inferior and sad and unfair your pick was.
Really?
Yes, I am. This is the very first time ever that the Tennessee Volunteers football program is in the college football playoff. As you said, according to your stats, this is Ohio State's 8th or 9th time playing in the college football playoff. They have all the experience. If we're looking on recent history, they obviously have the edge. They got the home game over us. The sad and unfair committee only dropped them 4 spots for losing at home as a 3-touchdown favorite over Michigan. If you look back earlier in the season, we dropped 4 spots for winning by 6 as a 17-point favorite against Florida. Everyone in Big Ten country and across the country wants to scream SEC bias. SEC bias does not exist, Nathan. It is Georgia and Alabama bias.
Yeah.
Tennessee has never once benefited from SEC bias. The national media does not want us to win this game. The Big Ten damn sure doesn't want us to win this game. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't think SEC fans outside of Knoxville want us to win this game. Some of them may just for their pure hatred of Ohio State, if they share it the way that I do. We've said it before. We said it earlier. I'm not making the drive up there to lose. And it can be 24 degrees at kickoff. It can be 4 degrees. It can be -4. Hell, it can be 84. I don't give a damn. Dylan Sampson is going to run through their ass like shit through a tin horn. Jermod McCoy is going to make some big plays. And Carnell Tate's going to regret going to that, excuse for a state. I don't know how else to put this to you, niece. I don't see a scenario where God doesn't let us go to the Rose Bowl.
Wow.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, and most above all, one's up. I acknowledge my tribal chief, my QB1, delivering us to glory. Vols, 27-21.
Nice. And if they do win, we will go to midfield and I will plant my Tennessee and Tennessee baseball national title and Trump flag at midfield. And then we will be arrested and be convicted felons, Harbin. Because
Oh no.
Now it's apparently a felony in the state of, or they're trying to get it to where it's a felony in the state of Ohio to plant flags on the field. What a stupid waste of time. That's how sensitive and weak these people are in Ohio.
It's called the It's called the OHIO Sportsmanship Act.
Jeez, what a bunch of.
Here's an easy way to prevent that. Don't lose to Michigan
Don't lose.
when you're a 3-touchdown favorite.
Stop losing. I remember when Tennessee went down to Georgia, I think it was in 2004, and Jason Allen planted the Power T flag right in the middle of the G. There was no outrage that I remember. They planted it. They got him off the field and they left. But Ohio State's a little. We live in sensitive times. People are mentally weak.
If you get mad about somebody planting a flag, beat them. That way they can't do it.
I concur. Well, we will be heading up I-75 to make the trek to Columbus, Ohio this weekend. Section YY8 will be there. If you are going, hit either Harbin or myself up, and we'll try to figure out at some point this week where we'll be. We're still working on that. Where we'll be at on game day. If you're going, dress warmly. We don't want anybody to get frostbite or hypothermia or anything like that. So dress warmly, wear your toboggan and your mittens. Keep your feet and toes warm. So, but yeah, if you're up there heading that way, give us a shout, and we'll try to link up with y'all. There's going to be a lot of Tennessee fans up there, and I'm excited about it, Harbin. This is I like going to big games. I've been to a lot of football games over the last 15, 20 years, and a lot of them didn't really mean much, but this one will Saturday. And I really want to go to Pasadena. Like, it's one of the bowl games I would want to go to if Tennessee wasn't playing in it if I had the opportunity. But if Tennessee's there, I will definitely do whatever I can to get there. So, a lot on the line this coming Saturday in Ohio and Columbus. Hope to see everybody up there that's going. If you are going, like I said, give us a shout out. Again, thanks to Andrew's Physical Therapy, powered by P4, for sponsoring us this week. They'll be partnering with us for a while on here. So shout out to those guys. Be sure to visit them. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us we suck or we're great. And also, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Harbin, you said clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. I say clear eyes, full heart, JWTDG. Stickers will be there. Now, I don't know what we're going to wear them on with all the jackets and clothes and everything we're going to have on, but we'll have some stickers up there. And I'll take some YY8 stickers with me as well and some koozies. Keep your
I,
hands from freezing on the chocolate milk cans.
I saw a meme the other day, and this is probably a pretty good theme for Columbus. Um, it was some guys on a duck boat, very cold, and they said, "Well, it's officially dig through 6 inches of Carhartt to find 2 inches of Pecker season." So
I
I might,
saw that. That was probably going to be accurate on Saturday, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be chilly, and just know that that's just because it's cold.
It's going to be cold. It is going to be cold. But I'm
Hey,
ready for it.
hey, but chocolate milk adds 10 degrees. Being in the stadium adds another 10. Hey, you might just need a long sleeves t-shirt. I'm gonna be ready to roll. I ain't
Winter is
scared.
winter is coming. Jon Snow survived winter, so I think I can.
I am Jon Snow. I belong north of
You
the wall. I was born for this.
you do kind of resemble Jon Snow just a little.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm just kidding. All right. If you'll notice, if you're watching, I am back in the studios. I've reclaimed the YY8 studios here in Straw Plains. It's good to be back. This chair is a lot more comfortable than the kitchen chair that I was sitting in for the past couple months. But shout out to, y'all probably saw Reagan on last week's show. Shout out to her. She finished her first semester of dental school at LMU, did really well. Proud of her. She's gone home for Christmas break. She'll be back, probably not in my house, probably in her own house, but I've had a blast with her this semester. I feel like I was in school there for a little bit, as much as I heard her talking about what she was studying and all that. But thank God I'm not in school. I couldn't handle that anymore. I did my time, and I don't ever intend to go back. So, shout out to her. But I am back here in the studios in a much more comfortable chair and better background. And we're going to upgrade the room here over the Christmas break. I've got some time off, and we're going to paint a little bit, do some moving around of some of these photos and memorabilia I've got here. So that change will be coming soon. But we gotta get through these football season first. That may put a hamper on any of my holiday plans if I'm going to Pasadena and Dallas and Atlanta and wherever the Vols may take
What?
me. What? Wherever the Vols may take us. But Harbin, looking forward to heading north with you. Harbin and I will be driving up north on 75 with our buddy Patrick. He'll be making the trek with us. So excited about that. Dr. Neese is going and Burns and all the other Straw Plains legends that'll be up there. And if you're not going, we'll carry your spirit on with us. All of our brethren, Day Day Vol, Big Montana. I will carry your spirit with me from Z11 all the way to Ohio Stadium. I have no idea where we're sitting in Ohio Stadium, or I would tell you the section, but I no clue where we're sitting. I know it's probably upstairs somewhere. So, um, but I said this kind of jokingly a few weeks ago to my uncle. I was like, I'd love to go to Ohio Stadium sometime and see an Ohio State Michigan game or something. He's got a buddy up there that we'll see this weekend, Chad. And he's like, oh, I can make that happen. Well, here we are about 3 or 4 weeks later, we're actually going, but it's not to Ohio State Michigan game. But I knocked that one off the list that I said I'd like to go to before I pass on. So at least not Michigan game, but anyways, looking forward to it. Harbin, are you fired up?
Absolutely. I'm locked in. I'm war ready.
War, one of the former great Facebook groups, War Ready, a youth football page. If you're ever bored and want to go down a rabbit hole, go. I don't even know if it still exists, but go on War Ready on Facebook. You won't regret it. Actually, maybe you will. All right, Harbin, appreciate you coming on. Go get some rest. We got a big week ahead of us. I'm Negative Niece. That's Harbin. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you guys on the other side of the Tennessee Ohio State game next week here on the Section YY8 podcast.